Hello and welcome to this edition of Tips and Tricks. Now today I'm going to be talking about dead sticking a drop shot. This has happened quite a bit throughout my probably like 10 years of fishing a drop shot now. But the first time it really happened was at my test pond. Remember my old test pond? Well, if you've been on here long enough, you know my old test pond. It's a pond, it's just 5 minutes from my house. It used to have a lot of fish in it, then it dried up. But I used to have this dock on it, and that's actually kind of where I first started drop shotting. About 10 years ago, about 2009. But I was there one day, I was on the dock, and I was casting pretty much kind of out into the middle of it. And I threw out one time with the drop shot, my usual little drop shot that I use, about 8" from the weight to the bait. Anyway, I threw it way out there and somebody was there and they were talking to me. I just let it set. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the line take off. And I'm all, whoa, boom, reeled in. It was only a little fish, like 8, 9, 10" I'm like, oh my God, I just threw it out and let it sit. I was dead sticking a drop shot. I'm all, whoa, I wonder if that'll work again. So I would throw it out, and if I hit pretty much in that same exact area, it would hit, it's about 4 or 5 feet deep. It would hit the bottom, I would just sit, stare at the line. All of a sudden I'd see the line kind of pop and it'd start moving away. And every time I hit that little area, if I just dead sticked it, boom, I'd get a fish. If I actually cast further from it or whatever, I would pick it up and I'd work it through it and I wouldn't get anything. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So anyway, that was the first place I discovered it. And then it's happened at other lakes from time to time where there just happens to be a spot where there's a lot of fish sitting, like a school of them. And if you get that drop shot right on top of them and you let it go, let it hit bottom, and then just let that worm drop and sit. All of a sudden, your line will just start taking off after 5-10 seconds. And my theory on this, my theory on why this happens and why they do this is, what's happening is this is coming through the water. This thing is, well, as it's coming to the water, this is aiming down. So the weight's coming, this is aiming down. To the fish, it looks like this little thing here, which is a little fish, is following this little thing. So it's following, suddenly it hits the bottom, and then this thing just kind of floats down next to it, like fish is like, whoop. And the second it stops, the fish stops. And the fish like slowly moves its way down somewhere near it. Like to, I don't know, either go over and eat it or just to watch it for when it moves again. Well, the bass sees that coming, that gets their attention. Here's this thing coming through the water. Boom, looks like it's attracted, it's chasing this thing. And then boom, and all of a sudden this thing goes and it sits. The bass might come over and start staring at it. Since it just sits there and doesn't move, it drives them crazy. And finally they're like, screw it. And they start swimming off with it. So I'm telling you, it's a really cool thing. And the only way it's worked with me is when I've cast into a spot, like maybe I know there's a log there or a weed patch or it's on the edge of a little ledge or something. And I just hit the spot and I hit it exact and it drops down and I just let it sit. Don't touch it, just let it do its thing, fall to the bottom, and all of a sudden the fish will just start taking off with it. I haven't really tried it or had much success. Well, I'm working it in and I just stop and let it drop on its own, let it sit, and then maybe pick it up and work it again and drop it and let it sit. Like the way a lot of people dead stick. They'll move it a little bit and then they'll let it sit for like 10, 20 seconds and they'll start moving it again, let it sit. Doesn't really work that way, but if you find a spot where there's a school of fish, maybe I said a hole in the weeds or something like that, it's a really good way to catch fish, and a lot of fish. If there's like, you can catch, if there's like 10 fish in that spot and you throw it in that exact spot, doing the dead sticking, I think you can catch all 10. So yeah, it's dead sticking, but it's a little bit dead. I mean, like I said, a lot of people move it. But the way you test it is throw it out, and before you move it, let it sit for quite a while. Like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Then start working. And then your next cast, another spot, let it dead stick. And if it does happen that when you're dead sticking, all of a sudden the line takes off, then go, oh, okay, well, let me try that again. I know exactly where the spot is. Let me try to hit it right in that spot. Dead stick it again, see if there's any more fish there. So that was the concept, and I just kind of told you why I think it works, the way it drops and that. What reminded me of it was, it happened yesterday in my live. Well, depending on when you're watching this video. At the time of me filming it was yesterday. It was at Pinot. It was right at the end of the day. I have some footage to show you of me catching fish, dead sticking the drop shot.
First cast, guys. Oh, I lost him. Oh, is this a fish? Fish. Little guy. It's a crappie. It's rolling on top. Now it's fighting. decide. He was on the second I picked it up. He was already there. It's only about like 4 feet out there. Oh, fish. Told you. They're only way the hell out there. I didn't even do anything, guys. I just threw it there. This is a better one. This is definitely a better fish. Man. It seemed that big till he got up here. There we go, guys. How's that compared to the other one? Hey, Rick! Third one. Yeah, probably about 3 pounds. It's fat. Red butt, look at that. See that red butt? See? Little one, and then boom. Oh, wait, guys. Wait, guys. Another fish. Oh, he jumped off. That's this pole, guys.
Yep. So there you go. See, it happened before at Pinot. I remember on that same dock or the same jetty on that same side. There were a lot of little fish, but it was the same thing. I started casting, and I cast that one time, and instead of saying at the bottom, start working a drop shot, I let it sit, and I think, like I said, I was talking to somebody, and all of a sudden my line took off, and so I think I did 8 casts in a row in the same spot with the dead sticking, and I caught a little fish every single cast for like 8 casts in a row, and this was after it had happened at my test pond, and I think it happened at a couple other lakes over the hill a couple times, but yeah. Dead sticking, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's the concept. This thing's coming down, this worm. Looks like, maybe it's following this thing down, wants to eat it. This thing hits, and all of a sudden, this thing just sort of slowly, usually horizontally or kind of a little bit down, and it sits right next to it. And that bass is like, ooh, goes over. It just drives them crazy, just sitting there not moving, and then all of a sudden, boom, they take off with it. But yeah, I like to have evidence of the situation. I mean, you're not always filming. Like the test pond, I wasn't filming. I think the last time in Pinot when this happened, a lot of times in a row, I wasn't filming. This time I happened to be filming. Anyway, it was alive. But yeah, there you go, guys. You should give this a try. First cast out, just let it sit for 5 or 10 seconds before you start moving in your drop shot. And yeah, if you catch fish, keep hitting that spot. Because a lot of times, in this case, there were 4 that were sitting in that spot, and there might have been more, but it was time to go, and I had to leave. But yeah, there you go. Dead sticking a drop shot. Give it a try. You might find yourself catching fish on it when working it in, not getting a bite. Sure hope this helped, and please join us for our next tips and tricks. Also check out our fishing shows, our blogs, our biology bites, and well, as you saw in there, that clip of us live, come join us live. We have a lot of fun. It's conversation, it's talking, it's educational, on the spot while I'm fishing, and yeah, I'll see you next time, guys.